You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. I don't want to feel bad for feeling like my brain isn't working as well as it does other times. I think this is kind of connected to the tired thing. When you're tired or you're kind of burnt out or overrun, your brain doesn't work the same way that it does when you've had a lot of rest or you're feeling really rejuvenated, right? And I don't hold other people to that standard. If I know that other people have been going through a lot and they're kind of having a moment where their brain's not working great, I don't hold that against them. In fact, that's the last thing I would think about. So why do I need to hold myself to that standard? I don't. Hello there, and thank you so much for joining me today for a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. My name is Felicia, and for those of you who might be new around here, I am a self-love specialist as well as a certified astrologer. And every week I come here to share a bit from within, stories about what I've been working through, how I'm trying to grow, and how I am looking to the universe to help support me in these endeavors. It is my belief that so many of us right now are just doing the absolute best we can, trying to make our way through the challenges that we're facing, the things that we're learning, the opportunities we have, and that we struggle with. It's very common for us to feel as though we're working through things and needing a little bit of inspiration, needing a little bit of encouragement. So that is what I am here to do. And to remind you and all of the people that I work with that the little changes we make in our life can lead to big shifts. So, with all of that said, I am so excited to be sitting here with you guys right now. As is a bit customary right now, this time of year, my schedule is not very consistent. It is very busy and there's lots going on, and this weekend was no different. I'm actually coming off of a wedding that I photographed last night, and then a day where I ended up fitting in a really important photo shoot this morning for a family that I've worked with and photographed for many years, and they're actually getting ready to move out of state. And so it was very important that we squeeze in one last session together here in Colorado before they make their journey away. And I couldn't have thought of a better, weekend. I truly love what I do as a photographer, being able to show up for these important moments of people's life and to capture their joy, their love, their connection, their story. It is so rewarding, and it's such a blessing. And I'm also feeling extremely tired. So if you hear a little bit of that low energy or just kind of more on the calm side, that is why I am a little bit tired, and that is okay. In fact, that is one of the things that I am really working on right now, and something I thought I would offer to you as a little bit of a self-growth exercise, or just something that we can focus on as it is a brand new month. We are finally in the month of October. But I was thinking about all of the things that I don't want to let myself feel bad over during this month, and maybe never again. Wouldn't that be nice? But I don't want to feel bad for being tired. And I think so many of us feel this. I know I'm not the only one. I've had friends who've shared this with me. When they are exhausted, they don't feel like it's okay to be tired. Like it is something that brings up shame. And sometimes this is something that, our parents can instill in us, or our culture, our society, our job. Like if we're tired or we're having a low energy day, we feel like we're lazy, we feel unproductive, we feel like we're not good enough. If we need a lot of naps, if we need just to be low energy, we feel like that is a character defect. And it's not. What if we are just tired? What if we just need more time to rest? There is nothing wrong with that. So one of the things that I am putting on my list is I don't want to feel bad this month for being tired or for being low energy, for having lower energy than I do other times. I want to accept myself for where I'm at, and that is part of the process. And with that, I don't want to feel bad for feeling like my brain isn't working as well as it does other times. I think this is kind of connected to the tired thing. When you're tired or you're kind of burnt out or overrun, your brain doesn't work the same way that it does when you've had a lot of rest or you're feeling really rejuvenated, right? And I don't hold other people to that standard. If I know that other people have been going through a lot and they're kind of having a moment where their brain's not working great, I don't hold that against them. In fact, that's the last thing I would think about. So why do I need to hold myself to that standard? I don't. I don't always feel like when my brain's not working optimally that I'm being my best self. But why does my best self have to be the version of me that has this brain that works a certain way and finds all the right words and can communicate so effectively and be productive and, go, go, go? There is other parts of me that can also be a part of my best self, and it doesn't have to be equated with that feeling of being valuable or productive or adding value in order to be good enough, in order to be worthy. So that is another thing that I am just not going to feel bad about right now. And I'm going to embrace the parts of me that are exactly where I am today. And this whole thing is something that I feel always comes up for me this time of year. I think part of it is the seasonality of my photography business. Being in the wedding industry, we, work all summer and then it just keeps building and has this huge explosion of busyness and events in the fall. And then things start to wind down. And on top of weddings being a really big fall thing in Colorado, so are all of the family sessions, and people get really obsessive about the colors. And even if you're not thinking about photos, people get really caught up this time of year with just going out and seeing the fall colors, feeling like they're part of nature, getting those pictures with the turning colors in the leaves behind them. It's very, very important. I don't know if it's important everywhere, but it is very important in Colorado. And so there's always this pressure this time of year to be available, to go out for that fall hike, or, for me, just the amount of events and photos to take and clients to please and having the beautiful Colorado fall background. And year after year, for over 10 years, I've been taking pictures of people, and every fall I feel this insane amount of pressure. And I overbook myself and I go crazy and I get so overwhelmed. And year after year, I have said to myself, next year, I am not going to do that to myself. And I can honestly say that this is the first year that I do not feel overbooked. And it is the most incredible feeling. Now, again, I am a little tired and there's plenty going on and I've been busy, but I don't feel like I've put myself in that position where I've run myself ragged in the way that I have in the past. And I feel like this is something I wanted to weigh in on because for a few reasons. One, if there happens to be any photographers listening, you can listen to some of the strategies that I've done. But what I want you to really hear me loud and clear is that it takes time to put plans into place and to fully learn the lessons that you want to learn. It can take years, and that is okay. And it may not 100% solve all of the things, but you have to know what you're trying to go for. And for me, I just wanted more space, and I didn't want to feel the pressure of the fall colors, and I wanted to feel as though there was space for the unpredictable, because that's something that I struggle with. And this year, actually back in June, I set up my photography schedule and availability through November. So anytime that I've gotten an inquiry over the past, several months, I've had a framework already built in that I could go on. And it was already a little bit more limited because I am transitioning businesses right now. And so that worked out. And crazily enough, I do feel like the universe supported me a lot in this by making it all just work out perfectly. And this is something that I haven't always felt. To be honest, many years around this time of year, I honestly would start to have breakdowns, feeling as though the universe was actively going against me because it was bringing so much that I felt like I had to juggle or shuffle or schedule or say no to, and it was just so much. And this year, I don't know if it's because I was just very clear going into it, or if we just happened to get into just such the right rhythm where people were contacting me as we could get them scheduled and nothing came in a big, overwhelming, avalanche. It just has worked out really well. And even this weekend, I have an amazing team of photographers that work with me, and that's how we're able to do 4 weddings in a weekend like we did this weekend. But one of my photographers went down. She not only was sick, family sick, lots of stuff going on. I think likely, like most of the team is feeling right now, is also feeling that feeling of burnout, which sometimes we get really sick when we are overscheduled, when we are overwhelmed, when we're managing and juggling many things. And I just wanted to reach out and give her the biggest hug. And of course, we could cover her jobs because I have been there myself so many years. I could literally just close my eyes and snap back into that feeling of the amount of pressure on you. And I was so grateful that it all worked out perfectly, that we were able to very easily remedy the situation. And that was also this moment of me reflecting on and feeling the growth that I've had. Because a year ago, had that happened, I think I would have freaked out, not on her, but just freaked out in general that things had to be so rescheduled and what was it going to look like. But because I scheduled this year the way I did, I was able to seamlessly step in to cover that wedding, which last year, the year before that, when I'm used to taking on 2-3 weddings a weekend, I couldn't have done because I was overbooked myself. And so it just worked out so well, and it was so reaffirming. And, it is really hard to be feeling so many things kind of clicking together at the same time that I am really, truly beginning to say goodbye to this certain season of my life. I know that I could go back to it if I ever want to or need to. I'm always going to be a wedding photographer. I'm never going to forget how to do this job. But I am finally down to my less than a handful, so less than 5 weddings left that I have booked and scheduled. And, it's not I don't know if retirement is the right word or anything like that. It's just a shift that I'm embodying and moving into. But it does have me just reflecting quite a bit on what does it mean to say goodbye to something that you have done for so long. And I have never been a person who has struggled with goodbyes. I actually blame this practice on being in the theater for so many years, because every time a show opens and then closes, there's this huge goodbye. And so I feel like I have been well experienced in the process of goodbyes and understanding that life does move through seasons. And that doesn't mean that I don't feel sad about it. Of course, sad is a feeling that comes up. Not wanting it to be over. I've felt that in the past. And I don't know that that's not the feeling that's coming up for me right now. It's not that I don't want to say goodbye. I actually am ready to say goodbye, but it is just so bittersweet. And there's so many memories, so many weddings have been coming back into my mind, different photographers that I've worked with, couples that I've worked with, things that I've seen, things that I've experienced, things that have made me laugh, things that have made me cry. And just, I'm trying to fully be in this moment and feel my gratitude for this season as I finally begin to count down through the transition. And it's going to kind of move in, a couple more waves. We have like the big end to wedding season, which is in October. And then I have one more in December. So that'll be kind of like the end of this year. And then I have one more in February. So it's a bit of a slow transition. And I guess all of this is to say that I am feeling very much like things are exactly where they're meant to be right now. And even as things are like gelling into place and they're feeling so good, and I'm finally, scheduling correctly, and I'm creating more space, and all of that feels so good, I'm trying not to confuse those things for like reasons or signs that I am doing the wrong thing by closing this chapter. And I think, again, this is something that we can all relate to, is it is really hard to make decisions for ourselves, especially when other people are disappointed in them, or we feel like we're not good enough to make the change, or we feel like there's money on the line, or whatever our reasons are, whatever it is. If you've decided on something, sometimes you can start to second guess yourself. And when things start working really well, you can take that as a sign of like, well, maybe I should just keep doing this because I don't want to put myself into another uncomfortable position. But change is a little bit scary. It is very uncomfortable, and it is still worth doing. And what I'm trying to tell myself right now is I'm like, if I can figure out how to feel good with something that was so big and so much and took so much, pressure and stress and all of this stuff, if I could figure that out, then I can get there faster the second time. So if I start doing something new, I can still work through the growing pains. If I can figure it out, then I can figure it out again. So I hope that somehow that little bit from within me, that you can relate to that a little bit and feel that sense of empowerment right now to make the changes, to play the long game, and to remember that if there's any decisions that you're making that you are heading into a place that is a little bit unfamiliar, that it is okay. And I just have to take a nice deep breath into that, because I need that reminder all the time that it is okay, that things are working out exactly as they're supposed to. It is okay. So with all of that said, let's talk about a little bit of what's happening astrologically right now. We'll move into our astro check-in. We are already coming up towards the full moon. And believe it or not, I literally had to just double check that because I thought we had another week. That is how all mixed up I am. I'm still living in last week. And so this Sunday is our full moon in Aries. And who is not excited for it, the full moon? This one feels especially important because it is finally a moon that is not kind of being impacted by the Mercury retrograde, and it is the last full moon before we get our next lunar cycle, which is going to be eclipse season. So both the new moon and the full moon will have eclipses, and so this full moon is a really big, important one. And as it is a full moon in Aries, it is kind of bookending the beginning of the astrological new year that happened with the new moon in Aries. So if you want to, you can think back to about 6 months ago when spring was just starting, and think about all of the things that have kind of sprouted and budded and bloomed in your life and changed and have come to you, that you've maybe finally feel like you're harvesting. And maybe some of the things that have been completed that you can kind of return back to the earth, or the byproducts that have come just into your life that once again you just want to let go of. This is a beautiful full moon for that. During this full moon, we're going to be balancing the polarity between Aries and Libra, because the moon will be in Aries and the sun will be in Libra. And these two are both strong cardinal signs. Aries is the sign of the self. It is headstrong. It is a leader. It is a pusher. It's very much sure of what it wants and goes for it. Libra is the exact opposite of that in terms of being much, much more aware of other. How is it that the relationships in our life need to be in balance? It does this through charm. It does this through participation, negotiation, finding balance. And so there is kind of a difference between those two things that you have to look at for yourself. Are you being more pulled towards balancing, actually standing up for yourself, maybe being a little bit more selfish, being more concerned with your own personal desires and ambitions? Or would it benefit you to look outside of yourself, to see that people are different from you and that you might gain wisdom from thinking of their experience and how things affect them? Or from letting go of trying to control other people, right? So this is a balance that might feel very present over the next week, but especially towards the weekend. Now, every month I create a unique full moon and new moon ritual that goes out to the Patreon in our lunar self-care guide each month. So this month for your full moon, there is a copy for the full moon. It is a self-love ritual, all about really connecting to the places deep inside of yourself. So if you are a member of the Patreon, be sure to just print that one out, have it handy this weekend on Sunday. And if you are not a member of the Patreon yet, but you would love to peek at these, this is in the Libra self-care guide. And you can have access to this each and every month by joining our Patreon. We do have our base level of membership is $3 a month, and that gets you ad-free episodes of each of the podcasts along with that lunar self-care guide. And this is just your little reminder that full moons are really beautiful times to express something fully. I tend to also think of our new moons as initiating and starting things, and the full moon as the culmination that eventually starts a period of waning and letting go. Sometimes our full moons feel very strong, like letting go, releasing energy. And other times they feel very big and celebratory and like you're having a lot of light bulb moments and it's all kind of coming together. So carve out a little space so that you can tune into what's going on for you and really feel all of the beautiful illuminatory vibes this weekend. And you know what, you guys? I feel like that is it for today. You guys know, if you've been listening to this for a while, I usually go on, and I usually have a whole segment that I do after the Astro Check-In. But the main things that I wanted to share today, what I was really having on my heart, is that feeling of it's okay to be where you are, that we're going to make the list of things that we're just not going to feel bad for this month, and we're going to embrace this full moon for all that it is in this season of balance in our lives. And guess what? We talked about all those three things, so I'm going to take that, and we're going to close today's episode with a card drawing. I definitely think we have to pull a spirit animal. This is from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. This is Kim Cran's beautiful oracle series. We're just going to take a moment to find out what the universe wants to contribute to this conversation. The Swan card. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. Whew. I am not going to lie, I have little baby tears in the back of my eyes coming out because I relate so strongly to that. I've been feeling very much called towards the quiet and for solo time. And I'm also having this memory. The second I saw this card, it's a beautiful swan, but it has like a double, like a mirror reflection, like as though it's on water. And I am remembering that back in 2015, I took this trip to Europe. And we had gone to Belgium and then over to Germany and then back to Belgium where we flew out of Brussels. And we stayed in this hotel where there was this, it was really close to the airport. So it wasn't like it was in this like amazing place, but it did have the most amazing little park right out back of it. And we were jet lagged and tired and trying to, figure out life coming back to the States. And I went on this little walk by myself and I found the most incredible swan right on this lake. I had my camera with me. And that was back in a time when I was doing a lot of photography for fun. Just wanted to always have the camera. And it was incredible, actually. I want to go find all those pictures now. It was about this time of year. It was fall. It was a beautiful fall there. And I'm just remembering that swan and that feeling of grace and ease and flowing. And I mean, the card said it beautifully. I don't need to re-say it, but what a beautiful image to close today's episode with, and to also just hold space for each of us, whoever is listening, whenever you're listening to this, whether you're listening to it before this Aries full moon or whether you're listening to it a year from now because it's just exactly what you needed. The swan is yours. So may you find it, and may you find the inner vision that you need. All right, with that, I will close today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, and until